Welcome to Orsus, the Immortal series. Welcome back to the world of Orsus, the Immortal series by Di-Fanteria. Today, we're stepping into the final arc of the second series, books 7, 8, and 9. These are not stories about the past. These are stories about systems, about power that survives empires, about organizations that never disappear. They simply evolve. From the collapsing ruins of post-war Europe to the shadow wars of Belfast to the hidden archives beneath the Vatican itself, the machine behind history is finally beginning to reveal itself. And as we move toward the end of the saga, or at least this end of the saga, one thing becomes terrifyingly clear. The wars were never the point. The chaos was never accidental, and the truth was never truly hidden. This is Orsus. Book 7. Anima Perduta. Coming soon. Trieste, May 1945. The war is over and Europe lies shattered. Cities burn. Governments collapse. Empires disappear overnight. But some systems survive destruction better than nations ever could. A man walks south through a city that has changed hands too many times to remember what it is anymore. He carries one bag. He does not look back, because he already knows where he is going. Rome, the Via dell'Anima. A bishop opens the door. "I've been waiting for you." And with that, the transfer begins. Not an escape, not a rescue, a transition. Names disappear, identities shift. The hunted become protected, the defeated become useful. In Anima Perduta, Di-Fanteria takes readers deep into the machinery of the rat lines, not as isolated escape routes, but as something far larger, a system, an infrastructure designed to preserve influence long after wars officially end. From Vatican archives to covert financial networks, from the ruins of Europe to the ports of South America, the machine does not collapse. It relocates. And decades later, in 1992, the past begins clawing its way back into the present. A hidden Vatican file reveals names behind names. A fortune moves silently across continents. A man believed dead is discovered still watching from the shadows. And somewhere behind it all, something ancient prepares to move again. Because these men were never fugitives. They were assets. And they have been waiting. Anima Perduta expands the Orsus universe into one of its darkest and most politically explosive territories yet, where history is not erased after a war, it is reorganized, and where the institutions trusted to preserve civilization may have been quietly preserving something else entirely. Book 8, Devlin, coming soon. Belfast, a city divided by wars, fear, memory, and blood. For decades, the conflict in Northern Ireland consumed generations. Bombings, assassinations, informers, disappearances, and retaliation without end. And inside that war, one name becomes legend: Eamon Devlin, a ghost within the Republican movement, a patriot to some, a strategist to others, a myth to almost everyone. The man who hunted informers while secretly serving as the greatest informer of them all. In Devlin, Janos de Fanteria moves through some of the most volatile decades of modern Irish history, from Bloody Sunday to Brighton to the hunger strikes and the hidden negotiations that would reshape the future of Ireland itself. But beneath the public conflict lies another architecture entirely, an unseen network managing outcomes from behind the violence. Wars are steered, men are sacrificed, history is guided towards conclusions nobody fully understands. And as 1992 approaches, the movement prepares to stand down, but instead of peace, the deeper structure behind the conflict begins to emerge. Intelligence networks overlap, old assets return, and the organization that created Devlin begins preparing for its next phase. because the war was never the objective, it was the cover. What makes Devlin especially powerful is its exploration of identity, loyalty, and manipulation. Every side believes it is fighting for freedom. Every side believes it understands the enemy. But the deeper truth is far more unsettling. What if the conflict itself was only a mechanism, a means of steering politics, shaping populations, and preparing something larger still? In classic Orsus fashion, the lines between patriotism, espionage, religion, and organized power become impossible to separate. And by the end, readers are left asking one terrifying question. If every side was infiltrated, who was actually in control? Book 9, The Reckoning, coming soon. For centuries, the machine remained hidden, invisible not because it was small, but because it was everywhere. Now, for the first time in its history, it begins to fail. The Reckoning brings the Orsus saga towards its final confrontation, and this time the battlefield is not a city, not a nation, not even a war. It is history itself. Deep beneath the Vatican lies 85 kilometres of archives, a complete administrative memory of an organisation that shaped empires, intelligence services, faiths, wars, governments, economies, and the direction of civilization itself. The consistory documented everything. Because it believed itself to be permanent, it was wrong. As the Equus Bellici close in on the archives, systems begin collapsing from within. Old enemies return. Immortal architects abandon the structures they spent centuries building. And Helen, forever changed by the Perla, begins to realize something devastating. The truth they spent decades searching for was never hidden. Humanity simply refused to see it. But the final revelation waiting beneath the archive is more dangerous than anyone imagined. The machine can be dismantled. The records can be exposed. The men who manipulated history can finally be brought to account. But what waits underneath the system itself cannot. Because the truth is not emerging, it is returning. The Reckoning promises a finale that moves beyond conspiracy into something far older and more existential. A confrontation not only with power, but with the origins of power itself. What began as hidden influence behind governments and wars evolves into something almost mythic, a civilization-scale mechanism spanning centuries, an inheritance in stretching across empires, and now, at last, the machine faces judgment. Books 7, 8, and 9 mark the final escalation of Orsus, the Immortal series, but not quite the end. Anima Perduta explores how power survives defeat. Devlin reveals how conflict can be manufactured and managed. And The Reckoning asks the ultimate question: what happens when the system controlling history begins to collapse? The deeper readers move into the Orsus universe, the clearer the pattern becomes. Wars change, governments change, religions change, but the machine adapts, it survives, and it waits. Until now. Thank you for listening. And prepare yourselves, because the truth is returning. Series 3. For centuries, humanity believed history was being controlled. Empires, wars, religions, governments, secret orders, but control was never the purpose, only containment. The consistory did not create the machine, it inherited it, guarded it, fed it. And now the custodians are gone. Across abandoned archives, black sites, sealed monasteries, collapsed intelligence networks, and places erased from every official map, something is awakening. Not hidden anymore, not patient anymore. The old world was built to keep it dormant. That world is ending. And what comes next will not ask humanity for permission. Coming in Series 3, the truth was never buried. It was waiting. Thank you for listening. And please visit Di-Fanteriabooks.com, where you can purchase these humble novels that form the universe. Many thanks.